Okay, Jack. Well, we're back here again. There's been a lot going on with the market recently, and I think one of the main topic would be DeepSeek.
Indeed, it wiped out $1 trillion in the market, right?
Yeah, definitely. But do you believe the information that comes out of of that area of the world?
Well, I would say it's definitely a powerful tool, right? Look at App Store, it's ranking number 1. But then the thing is, did it really only cost $5.5 million? That's the issue, right? How come the Chinese can do that in 5.5 mil, but the West take 5 billion or 50 billion or 250 billion that they're investing in it right now? I believe they use a lot of NVIDIA chips that is not legally obtained. Since US and NVIDIA suspend any Chinese company, and I saw in a lot of social media platform, there are indeed multiple accounts who import the H100, the top end NVIDIA chip in China. How can they have access to that? We have no idea, but they have access to those resources and leads to DeepSeek, a very powerful AI that they claimed only cost 5.5. But to be honest, I think, have you watched an interview with one of the tech founder company in the States, Silicon Valley, youngest billionaire?
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, he claimed this Chinese DeepSeek company have anywhere from 15 to 50,000 H100 chips.
Wow.
So that's the computing power required to make something like ChatGPT. So I would say there's a question, but again, it looks back to Chinese is always a follower in a lot of different kind of technology. Are they able to invent something new out of that? They can, but it will be really difficult. While US have the most talented people in the world, best university, best algo, OpenAI, all those talents, Chinese, do they have that? Not really, not at that level.
Yeah, but one of the problem that I think with this is like, even ChatGPT charging $20 a month for the normal base version and $200 a month for the advanced version.
Yep.
The problem is, even if they're charging that much, they're still operating at a loss. If you look at the financial statements, we can see that the OpenAI is operating at a loss.
Yeah.
The point is, DeepSeek right now is free, but how long will it be free for? That's the question. And like, if like OpenAI like costs that much to operate, and then they're charging people $20 a month, and they're still losing money, what is like with DeepSeek? How are they gonna be profitable? Like, it's not long-term profitability. How long are they gonna be up if their stuff is free? You know.
It goes back to the question: what's their ultimate goal? Why would they start it in the first place? I would say they are ultimately successful because they wipe out $1 trillion in the US market. If you look at who get benefit or who get the most out of this announcement in DeepSeek, will be the Chinese, because they literally pop a small bubble in the US stock market right now with all the AI hype. NVIDIA is overpriced in my opinion.
Yeah,
and they are able to pop that up. That's their goal. Not necessarily making money out of that. If it only costs $5.5 million, they don't care. And if you look into multiple Chinese company, as you almost heard of Temu, right? How can they run and selling items in such a cheap price? They are selling it at a loss. They are operating it as a loss, but in return of, they're able to access to customer data. They're able to get larger market share in the Western world, especially right now. Economy is tough, and it looks back to the ultimate goal. So
yeah, that's the funny thing here. Like, people, when they look at company, they look at what they sell. For example, we talk about Tesla right there.
Yeah.
People think that they sell cars, but the real thing that's special about Tesla, the unfair advantage that Tesla have, is that it has all the data of autonomous driving. Yeah, that's kind of the goal of each company right there. Another like concerning question is like, will with this, like, they're trying to accomplish by like interrupting the U.S. market, right? As you said, like, moving forward, what do you think is what are they gonna do next? Like, are they gonna train a more advanced model than what GPT have right now, or are they just gonna back off and just lower the keep? Is it?
I don't have a clear answer in my head, honestly. But I would say, even though Chinese doesn't have the innovation power as the state does, they do have the application powers. I saw a lot of Chinese media have been using AI in different part of productions, supply chains. They're implementing it in a rate that US are not doing it. We are still discussing, should we go back to the office from work from home, while they already have I don't know, have you heard of that term called smart factory? In China, they are shifting to a point where there's no human labor in a factory. They just do it fully automatically 24/7 with robots.
Actually, that brings me to about the Chinese port. Like recently, they went fully autonomous and they cut the cost and operation efficiency by allow the operation fees so high, and then that causes the workers to port in North America, in Canada, and U.S. to go on strike. They were afraid of that kind of technology because it's just like I think 10 people in one room operating a whole port.
Yeah.
That cuts labor cost by so much, and efficiency in terms of robot AI and all that. It's just like unbelievable. I think that's also scares
Yeah, I mean that's just eventually what's gonna happen out of the competition of the West and the East, right? Like the West do have the innovations, do have that power that built up the last couple of decades, but then Chinese are chasing really quick.
Really quick, because again, like with their government, there's less regulations in terms of like implementing. If the government thing is beneficial, they're just gonna let it happen. But the problem is with in the U.S. or Canada, there's regulation, but also in terms of fairness, like student union, worker union, that's kind of the big concerns that slow down the U.S. because there's too much like human rights is great, but then it slows down the progress of it.
Indeed. So it depends on what they value on, and if they value human rights and value to hear every stakeholder's concern, not necessarily a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
They need to give up something.
Yeah.
So that's the trade-off that we need to make every single day. And let's move on to the aviation space. There's a lot of like tragic news. The last couple of weeks, like hundreds of people died of multiple different plane crash.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
Yeah, but what do you think? I personally think it's because of the lack of labor due to COVID-19. So Cathay Pacific, a Hong Kong airline, they spent a lot of efforts to hire a bunch of maintenance people for the plane, pilots. And after 2-3 years after COVID, 2 years after COVID, now they're able to almost meeting the standard level of pre-COVID. It takes a long time for them. And the big reason is when people lose their job in COVID, it's really hard for them to get a job back. They shift to another industry and they probably are doing well there. It takes a lot of effort for them to put back into that industry that kicked them out prior because things weren't too good back then. So I believe there's a lot of airplane company due to lack of maintenance people, shortage of labor.
Less
quality.
quality.
It leads to less maintenance on the airplane, and they need to cut costs, especially right now. Supply chain is a huge disrupt. They are also facing a lot of trouble and problems. So that leads to not maintaining the plane that well. That leads to certain crashes. And when a machine like airplane not moving for a year or 2 years, bad things could happen, right?
Yeah. Because like I think during that time, because you know how airline companies work is that they don't necessarily buy planes. They rent them from like people who own the plane. So they rent the plane, and once like the COVID hits, all the plane went back into like a aircraft space and then just sit there and rust, and that reminds me like in just this month alone there's like around 3 crashes, one in like January 7th, and then one just happened recently, and another one around the 20th, in all different, like it's not just happening in the North America region, it's happening all around the world. Like one was the Philippine airline, there was a crash there as well. I think the real problem is that less quality of labor. The labor that used to train and then they used to have before was like Okay, it meets their standard, but now they're just meeting demands, and they're hiring less quality people to run those things, you know. And it reminds me, like a few months ago, there was a video of a girl, like she took a picture of the plane wing, and it was missing a part, and she told the flight attendants, like she went like, oh, flight attendants, there's something missing on the plane right there, and then it's like, shoot, like let's just call this past the plane, let's fix that first. It was like, yeah, that kind of scares me a bit. Yeah, it scares me when flying.
And I just booked a plane at March.
yeah. I think that that demand, the sharp increase in demand after COVID, really shocked the system, and like, you know, they just hire whoever it is.
Yeah, and it goes not only into aviation, it goes to a lot of different industry. That the impact of COVID is still hitting to this day. Look at supply chain; it's absolutely disaster. They still, from what I know, each container is 1.5 times more expensive than pre-COVID right now.
Let's talk about the supply chain in a bit. So the whole Trump cycle, like, you know, Trump thought process here is like, if we do tariffs, we are increasing production in the country. And are you thinking that increasing the production in the country would also increase the price of product, because we have like minimum wages, and we also have like all these regulations that we have to do in order to produce in the country? Do you think the cost of good will just go up because of the tariff? The tariffs would not fix the supply chain issue that America have, because America have been really dependent on China. Like, for example, during the COVID era, they didn't have enough like oxygen,
mask,
like oxygen tank, masks and stuff like that. Even like the medical equipment. Yeah. They literally had to China had to ship a container for them. Yeah. So that was one of the concern that the U.S. faced, and now they're trying to increase production in the country. But my thought is will it just increase the price of product? It will not fix the, right now price of products are where they are because we're getting it cheaply produced overseas, right?
Yeah, what used to happen is Chinese or other company producing offshore in a lower wages due to lower cost of living, stuff like that. And it works real well, but the problem is those people who are willing to take it in a cheaper rate take the job from the States. So that's why they have the Rust Belt near the Detroit, those area. Factories that should get abandoned because they can produce it in 20% cheaper in maybe China, because the human labor there costs 1/10 of what the state does. But then right now they're trying to implement the tariff to force them to come back. It could work. It will bring more companies back employment back to the States. But will cost of living goes up? It could. It will. Because I don't know, have you seen the YouTube video today earlier? You remember the deportation happens right now in the States?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of construction sites in the state right now.
And they're not Mexican.
Yeah. There is no Hispanic worker there. They are illegal, right? But then they are also contributing to the workforce, making things slightly cheaper. In the end, if they need to hire or local state citizens, it will goes to the consumer to pay that price. So will it actually lead to lower cost of living? There's question in it. But the goal is for him is to allow people to get the job back. And if we look into other parts like national securities in the future, where apparently I think there's an anti-globalization. There's a deglobalization trend in the state right now, where they are trying to bring the factories back. Less reliant on other countries. Who knows what Chinese start World War III with the States, or who knows what the States start World War III with the Chinese, right? We have no idea. So that's why they will want to bring it back to the States, where they get to manufacture everything to prepare if those things happen. So that's why they are buying the Gulf of Mexico. They are buying Greenland. They are trying to get Canada because of the natural resources in Greenland, allowing them to have more access to the North Pole area. And also Gulf of Mexico have a lot of natural gases, energies that can supply back to the States.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Panama Canal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Trump said that, he's going to get back control of the Panama Canal because Americans built it.
Yeah.
But then the government in Panama said that, no, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen. What is your thought on that?
Well, if the states want it, if US wants it, they get it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how.
How.
So
Yeah,
so
how.
so that's will be the
Interesting to
thing.
watch, yeah.
And it's this price on everything, right?
Mm.
As long as the Trump gives an offer that Panama have to take, then yeah.
Yeah. Even like Greenland, Denmark said that no, we're not giving up Greenland, and because Greenland is owned by Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're saying they're not giving it that up. Like, there's like a lot of things that Trump wants to do, but then how like realistic is it? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like in his last presidency, he made a lot of promises, but then COVID hit, and he left without completing those promises. Like, will it happen again? Will it repeat itself, or with this like kind of momentum that America's having right now, Trump will be successful on doing what he wants?
Yeah, like I heard there is a saying. One of the major reasons why U.S. can print that much money because it's backed by the oil, by the gas.
Yeah, used to be backed by gold, but
Yeah, but right now, how much they can print? Right, people say it's around $5 or $50 trillion, but then it comes to $5 trillion. But then if they have more collaterals, then they can print more. Right, it's all about issuing debt. You only can issue debt when you have collateral, when other countries see, if the state went bankrupt, they can get the resources in Greenland, they can get the oil in Gulf of Mexico.
I see.
So when they can buy those stuff, when they have access to them, they can issue more US dollar. But again, how realistic it is a question, and I don't have that much access to information like how this whole process will operate. But having more natural resources
was beneficial.
It's a beneficial for sure.
Yeah. Going back to that thing, let's talk about tariffs on oil. I read the news like I think yesterday. In the beginning of the day, they said no, it's kind of hard because all the processing plants and all the crude oil in Canada, it's like the company have operations in Canada, and putting tariffs on that would really affect the American companies itself. Well, what's your thought on that? Like, will the tariffs on oil and gas happen or will it not? Like, and then
I don't know, man. Like it's. I see why he do that to protect the border, but setting tariff on Canadian goods is also a double-edged sword to the states where.
Yeah, because they're relying on us. Yeah,
they're relying on the gas and oil we produce them, and even the Canadian whiskey, right?
Yeah.
But if they input tax on us, we input tax back on them. It's not going to end up anything. I think it's just a tactic for negotiations for Canada government to protect the state's border, right? It's all part of negotiations. The way I see it is Trump is not a usual politician. Yeah. He is a business dude, and he will use different kind of strategies without caring that much on the regular politician being nice, being respectable with all those human rights stuff.
Yeah, I think what Trump wants to do is bring back the old America.
I don't know. I didn't live in that age before, but
So like the ideology of the Trump right now is like, you can't have a country without borders. Borders are what make a country.
Yeah,
and that's why we're doing this mass deportation. This but then the fact is it affects labor, like all the Mexicans are doing all the harsh labor. Like you don't see like American doing much of the like harsh labor, like construction and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, like, will it slow down the growth of America even more? That's the question. We went back. Let's talk back to like the beginning. We said that because of the regulation and the union and everything, it slows growth of America compared to China. But then wouldn't like removing the workforce that it's doing the manual labor also slow down even more America's ability to grow rapidly?
I don't know. Like maybe yes and maybe no. The reason why I think it could slow down is like people have worse economic standard. The cost of living increase again. They need to increase the rates again. But it could turn good because American economic growth is not solely relying on those labors, right? It's from tech, it's from NVIDIA, it's from these kind of high-end manufacturing technology that they get to export out to other countries and make profits. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We need to do some more research and like what drives the most growth in US. And I think it's just another perspective where we need to see the fundamentals of what drives a country's success, what drives the economic growth. Yeah. Is it still in the export? Is it still in the import-export space? Or is it to influence to other countries or alliances in NATO? Yeah.
Because, again, like different countries have different geology, different strength, they all have different history, you know?
Yeah.
And I think each country is unique in this way that if this government there work, you cannot apply the same government everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like each government has to be unique on their own, depending on what they've been through throughout the history and what is their country like strength. Like with America and Canada is a customer service, the service industry. It's a big thing, and with America's tech right now, and also it's one of the biggest producer of oil and gas. So yeah, it's kind of a hard choice to see okay, you can't just say that this is gonna fully work, but then Trump's is only in office for 2 weeks, and we have to see what happened later on.
Economy is a really complicated machine. Like a lot of different companies, factors, forces connect to each other, and it needs more effort, right? So that's why we have these kind of conversation where we learn how each of us think. We have different backgrounds. We have different fields, experiences. Look into the economy or our society, and that brings diversity in our life and brings a more correct, more objective view in what actually is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm always interested in studying about the government, but then again, like I said before, not every government system is the same, and not this. For example, if the government in Singapore works so well, you can't apply it to anywhere else. Its uniqueness, how the country is built from based on. It really depends on the leadership and seeing how hopefully Trump can do this amazing turnover for America. America's definitely getting that ambition back when they're trying to get to the moon, because when Elon Musk said, we're getting to Mars, it's kind of going back to its golden age, it seems. Mm-hmm. But then there's also these other factors that plays a part in is it really? There's a lot of problems going to arise because we just have to wait and see. There's a lot of problems that might arise, and things might change. A lot of things.
Yeah. And these kind of conversations with different background and fields matters a lot, because we tends to listen to fields that's similar to us but not opposite to us, because it's hard. So that's why, hey, maybe they are doing it right or maybe they're doing wrong. Hear why they are saying that and understand where they're coming from is key. Because without that, we will just go as polarized as it could be.
I see. All right, thank you very much.